Hi, Jeff Marsace, estate planning attorney. Had an interesting conversation with a colleague of mine the other day, and he was talking about some business people he knew who were setting up a really good business. There were three of them, and they were discussing whether or not to do a buy-sell agreement. Now, trust me on this, I've been doing this for 18 years when I say that I've had estate planning clients, I've had corporate clients. Corporate clients are by far the busiest people I know, and whatever excuse they can come up with to avoid going to see an attorney, they will take. So the question comes up, oh, do we really need a buy-sell agreement? Do we really need to do this? And well, look, the answer really is yes. Now, on the day-to-day business operations front, maybe you're not thinking about a buy-sell agreement. You're not thinking about, well, what if one of us dies? Nobody really wants to think about that. But trust me, you don't want to imagine all of the pain that can come from not having an agreement that talks about this important succession planning. So let me just ask a couple of simple questions, and maybe I can go through some of the objections that I see or some of the comments I get when I talk about buy-sell agreements in the context of estate planning. How many people out there have a business partner, and if their partner died, they'd want their spouse or their kids to, move into the store and start setting up shop and start running things? Not too many. There aren't too many people I know who want to be involved with the heirs. If you don't have a buy-sell agreement that says, well, if somebody passes on or leaves the business, here's how we buy out the interests. You've got to have that in place. If you don't, then really you're asking to have to deal with the family members for a long, long time. All right, now, some of the objections I hear, oh, well, if you've got three people involved in a business, well, we'll still have a majority interest. We can just outvote the other person and still do what we want to do. Well, all right, first counter question is, well, what happens if something happens to two of you and now the heirs have the majority interest and they can keep voting against whatever the surviving partner wants to do? Not a good idea. But really, do you want to have to keep including those heirs and family members in all of the important meetings and all of the shareholder meetings? Probably not. And let me tell you, if you have a business that's split three ways and you end up having the two surviving partners, they want to run everything, they want to do anything, and they just decide, oh, well, we'll get together and we'll huddle and we'll decide what we're going to do, and we'll just kind of tell the third person that this is what we're going to do. No, you're now suddenly getting into an area of breaching your duties as a member of a corporation, as a shareholder and a member on a board of directors. It's got to be inclusive of all of those interest holders in order to have the meeting. And there's a potential for some minority shareholder lawsuits because you're not following procedure. Now, do you really want to have these people hanging around forever, or would you prefer to be able to just pay them what the value of the company shares were worth and the surviving partners just get on with business? You're in business for business. You're not in business to have to take care of the heirs of a deceased partner for the rest of your lives. All right. I sometimes also get the question of, well, we've got maybe you have the agreement, but we don't need insurance. We don't need life insurance to fund this thing. Okay, great. Maybe when you're starting out the business and you end up getting a buy-sell agreement, but there's no insurance money, but the value of the business really isn't worth all that much when you're starting. It's not. In fact, there may be more debt than actual business assets when you're getting started. But if you're doing things right, you end up with things growing and growing and growing. Within a couple of years, what if it's the three of you and it's a $6 million business? And one of you gets into a car accident and passes on, and now the other two have to come up with $2 million to pay off the heirs. Well, you're just going to go ahead and reach into your pocket. Okay, here, sure. Here's $1 million for me. Fred, you got $3 million too? You got $1 million too? Okay, sure, just go ahead and give it to the heirs. No, people don't generally have stuff that liquid just lying around. Coming up with a couple of $1 million is going to involve liquidating a lot of stuff or having to borrow stuff and pay interest on it. If you've got life insurance and it's set up to work in conjunction with your buy-sell agreement, it's just going to work out. And then the last thing I hear, and this is really the worst thing that I hear, oh, well, everyone's going to agree, everything's going to work out, we can just buy them out over time. No. Trust me on this. I've been doing this for 18 years. There's nothing to make people go a little nutty, like death and money on the table. They're not going to be patient. They're not going to take the money over time when you decide, each quarter whether or not you can pay them something. They're going to want their money and they're going to want it right away. So even if the plan is to have the interest bought out over time, you need to have that in the buy-sell agreement that this is how it's going to work out. Now, in the businesses that I've worked with, if there is a death, they just want the heirs to get the value and get out and let the other business owners keep moving. So, look, get a buy-sell agreement, have it done by an attorney. Don't do those fill-in forms that you get at Office Depot. It just never works out. And really, talk with a life insurance person to make sure that it's being funded the right way, so that if there is something disastrous that happens, it's being taken care of. You don't have to start running around and liquidating your assets or borrowing money. Buy-sell agreements are definitely worth their weight in gold and more if the situation ever comes up and it's needed. And that's really what a lot of legal documents are. It's preventative medicine. So that's my comments on buy-sell agreements. Thank you and have a great day.